Hello everyone, welcome to my Mega Brutal Guide series on Rebelling. My name is Onewaystyx. This is a series that I've been willing to make for quite a while, about myself as a player. I would consider myself pretty decent at the game. I can pretty much beat every single map consistently, so almost every time on Mega Brutal with advisors, most of them without advisors as well. And I noticed that there's a lack of proper guides, proper Mega Brutal guides. The only ones that are around are those of Pravus. He is, if any of you are Pravus watchers, he is a really bad player. Do not watch his videos. Do not listen to him. Anything you picked up from him, forget again. I'm sorry. It's just factual. There are a lot of players who are much better than him, myself included, and there are again many players who are much better than me. So yeah, that's why I decided to make this video series. And basically I will just go through every single map to every single governor on Mega Brutal, first with advisors and then without. And basically in this first episode I just wanted to really quickly explain some basic things. So first thing I want to go over is the advisors. So basically I want to first do that first in the video, an advisor video, then I'll do a governor one, and then I'll start on saffron fields and go from there. Basically just do every single governor and then explain strategies, basic openers, how to stabilize, how game mechanics work, and all that jazz. So yeah, let's go through the advisors first. So a question that a lot of new players ask, obviously, advisors, how important are they? So you can beat every single map without them, no problem if you're good enough. Some people can even do it consistently, it's actually quite impressive. And basically you don't need them to win, they're nice to have though. Definitely make the game significantly easier, no doubt about that, but also beatable without them. So let's go through all the slots, because it's also obviously a lot of people always ask what advisor should I take. So let's go through them just in order. So the journalist in the first slot, gather intel on zones faster. This one isn't very good, just for the simple reason that you will go district representatives basically every single game, unless you're playing the general or doing some other wonky stuff. You will get district representatives with some, rarely you will get census, but district representatives is usually enough, especially because you will be doing most of your scouting with coalition soldiers and human terrain system, so you can actually get intel on zones that you want to get intel on. This though, and human terrain system does it incredibly fast, so this is basically not really necessary. It's overkill, it's a wasted advisor. So the one I always use almost exclusively on every single map is the Doctor. We will get to that later when I actually start my video with actual gameplay regarding game mechanics. So basically what the Doctor does is he makes it easier to convert hostile populations to neutral people. So basically what the whole goal of the game is to convert neutral people to supporters and to reduce the amount of hostile population, so basically to stabilize zones. And the Doctor helps you a lot with that, because in case you haven't noticed, how many supporters you require to stabilize the zone depends on the amount of hostiles in the zone. So reducing hostiles is basically also the same thing as gaining supporters. That's why he's incredibly good. Always, I would recommend always taking him. Now, these three, I'm not exactly sure about the number, but there are maps where you can use them. I know there are players better than me that do use them in very specific scenarios, but in those cases it's a marginal improvement. It's usually the farmer that gets used for some rural starts. For example, an opium trail, I've seen some people use it, but it's not that much of a difference, so I just stick to the Doctor. I would recommend you do the same, especially if you're new. These three are the DLC advisors. They're whatever. The only one of these that actually has any merit would be the remote specialist, but simply not necessary, because you will rarely on ever go fighting insurgents in the mountains early in late game. Doesn't really matter. You would much rather like take advisors that stabilize you early or that help you early game, because Rebel Inc. is a game that revolves around snowballing. If the insurgents can snowball, you're gonna have a very hard game. If you can snowball, the game will be completely free. So here I always take the doctor. Next one, religious leader. So this, in my opinion, is one of the biggest mistakes people make, is they don't take religious leader. Instead, they take this absolutely useless advisor, the tribal elder. I would never take this. I would recommend no one ever take it. There is no situation where you should take it. It delays the insurgency by roughly maximum of 2 months. That's 10 turns. That's nothing. I've literally had games where insurgent RNG gives me a stronger free tribal elder, simply because the insurgents refuse to spawn from their camps. It's just luck. It's part of the game. But just saying that the tribal elder's usefulness is so marginal, you shouldn't use it. It delays the insurgency start by 2 months, for those of you that don't know. That's roughly 10 turns, or 12 turns, don't use it. Okay, the one you should always use, on the other hand, is the religious leader. In my opinion, by far the best one in this slot, not even close. The reason for that is I think it's on Mega Brutal 8% additional decrease in insurgent capability, up from 2.5 or 3, I'm not sure, per stable zone that you have. It's absolutely insane. Basically, after you stabilize your core zones, so your non-remote, non-rural zones, this guy will basically amount to several significant reductions. You know, like how we all get that dopamine hit when there's a 100% to significantly reduce insurgent capability when we click that subtle pressure. Basically, this guy does it like 4 times. So it's absolutely insane. It's really strong. You should take him. This is irrelevant. It's a small reduction. You start with more corruption. In that case, bad. Don't take it. Does nothing. It's just slightly tilts the RNG in your favor, perhaps, but not something I would care about too much. We're going like, these guides will be about consistency, not about, so like Pravus videos, for example, where he just restarts till he gets good RNG or gets lucky and buys the correct initiatives. Here it's about consistency, and this, in my opinion, is the most consistent governor. So if I want to win every time and not just roll the dice, this is what I go for. Militia chief, of course, you can have really good outcomes if you get good RNG, but yeah, don't take this. Police chiefs, zone security is a stat that does have merit, but is in practicality, the police chief will seldom do anything. The reason for that is quite simple. Usually the only reason you get security initiatives is if it's a concern, of course, in which case you get militia, most likely. Or I would recommend you get militia, because the others are extremely expensive. And basically that bumps your zone security to roughly 60%. And in most cases, this will delay the insurgents from taking the zone over enough until your soldiers can get there. So basically, that's another added benefit of zone security. What it does is it makes it so that the insurgents take longer to take over your zone. Times when that is relevant is when they've recaptured urban zones, for example, through unlucky spawns or unlucky attacks several times, and you can't afford to lose it again. So you get militia. So that you actually have the time to rotate your troops over and not lose the game due to another insurgent takeover. And like I said, the police chief in most cases is overkill. He will maybe buy you a turn. So it's whatever, I guess. A turn or two can be relevant, but so rarely that, again, if you look at it from a consistency perspective, there is absolutely no reason for us to take this. Tribal Elder, I've already said, horrible insurgent, do not take it. Negotiator also actively hurts you. You want the negotiation speed to be as slow as possible, optimally, so that you can you still have the time to stabilize some fringe zones, so that you're ready for the insurgent desperation attack and ready for their increased capability after rejecting a deal. this actively hurts you, so I would not take this. DLC advisors, foreign minister, whatever. Like if you obviously good if you start with high reputation. Is it as good as religious leader? No. Attorney general, in the same vein as police chief, very overkill. The only security initiative you'll usually be getting is militia, when it actually matters. Like obviously late game you can get police recruitment, and other police initiative, but like when the game is still up in the air, the only security initiative you'll ever be getting in most cases is the militia. So not really much point to this. This one's good. I guess if you like it, you can take it. It's a matter of flavor. I mean, it's a really strong ability, really powerful ability, definitely. But I still prefer the religious leader. I think in most cases it's overkill, similar to census. It's the same reason why I don't think census is a good initiative in most cases. There are some cases where it's necessary, but it's just overkill. And yeah, so this slot, definitely the religious leader in my opinion. Now the purple slot, I mean armchair architect, I don't have to say anything. Don't take it, it's random. Again, I'm playing for consistency here. I'm gonna teach you how to consistently beat the game. So don't take this. Impulsive shopper, I mean, this is obviously also a joke. Trained monkey, obviously also a joke. These three are just challenge, in quotation marks, advisors. So not really that relevant. Don't take them. Obviously, if you want to challenge, go for it. Now, tourist. Again, same vein as the journalist. You'll get intel early, especially in most cases. The intel you'll get from the tourist will be zones where you would get intel fast anyway. I guess it accelerates your intel chain at the beginning, but still district representatives will have to be assigned in those zones, and they will be assigned in those zones in most cases. So yeah, doesn't really it doesn't really help you too much. It's basically overkill. The one that I always take, celebrity, I think it's 1 or 1.5, I don't remember. Global support bonus, really good. Like, this is the difference between having to go for another initiative or not to stabilize. Before, like, it just frees up money and corruption to do other things. Great initiative. Should always take this, in my opinion. Friendly robot, I mean, do I have to say anything? You usually get drones at the end, like, completely useless. Credit manager is interesting. You can also play with him if you're the kind of player who doesn't like managing, like, or looking at his money and checking if he'll have enough for this or that. You can use the credit manager. You should you should try to stay under $10 debt. Under $10 debt, you're fine. You can pretty much stay there inevitably. It's okay. It's a good one. It's a good advisor for sure. Can definitely take it over the celebrity, in my opinion. Though the celebrity is just better, gives you more consistency, especially once you know how to spend your money. You won't even require the credit manager. So yeah, that's why celebrity is my go-to. Now, in this slot, tax collector, absolutely crazy in my opinion. I think it's 50% more income from stable zones, gives you incredible consistency, especially when you're low rep. The lower reputation you have, the less income you get, and this gives you a much more steady stream income. Income stream when you're low reputation, so when you're playing at under 30 reputation. Great advisor, great consistency again. In my opinion, the best one in this slot. Private donor in most cases not necessary. The problem with at the beginning isn't the money, the lack of money, it's inflation. So doesn't really do much in that vein. Low reputation doesn't reduce your money as much. I mean, basically this guy does the same thing, but he also gives you money when you have more money when you have stable reputation. So where you have high reputation and lots of stable zones, you get tons of money. So basically a worse tax collector. So if you're gonna take this guy, just take this guy. Realist, I think it's roughly 3 months or something that it gets delayed. Just like a month's rough, I think 18 turns in game. Yeah, I guess like 18 turns can in some situations mean quite a few rep, but Mm, I don't think it's worth it. It'll save you a bit of reputation in some cases. In most cases, you shouldn't even be having any lack of stability when you're playing on Mega Brutal with advisors. Um, exactly. So, in my opinion, not really necessary. For Mega Brutal, you should stabilize just fine, especially with Celebrity and Doctor, and just get the tax collector and take the free money. So investigative reporter, increased effectiveness of corruption reduction efforts. Again, I don't know the exact numbers. I don't think it's that relevant. Maybe playable. I honestly have never tried it. It's whatever. I'm pretty sure it isn't better than tax collector, nor have I seen good players ever use it. So I just wrote it off. I mean, you can play around with it if you want. Feel free to correct me, obviously, in the comments if you think I said anything wrong. I'm always learning this game as well, just like you guys. But in my opinion, this is whatever. Local politician, again, we're playing for consistency here. This is actually, if you're gonna ret and just always keep restarting until you get good RNG, so good stable zones. I think it's 2 stable zones you start with. Like, sure, you can do that, whatever. I don't like playing like that. I like playing the map I'm given. And in that case, local politician is, well, dog shit, because you can just get 2 stable zones randomly in the mountains, and then you're, I guess, fucked. I mean, you're just playing without an extra advisor. So yeah, if your goal is to like actually just beat the map once, I mean, sure. Then I think actually the local politician is better. It costs you $4 though. And I don't like, by the way, the same thing for the intelligence officer. This guy's also cost you money. All of these guys cost money at the beginning, which is why I don't like taking them. I'd like my money at the beginning, thank you very much. And basically, yeah, so if you just want to beat a map once, take this guy and like start spam respawning, like restarting until you get like 2 stable zones somewhere in a good place. Then yeah, I mean, local politician, great. But we don't do that here. Here, by the way, I will be uploading my losses as well as my wins in this series, just so you know, so there will be no shenanigans. I like to be transparent. Exactly, just an additional info. Now where were we here? Exactly, local liaison, concerns grow at a reduced rate. This one's actually quite interesting, as it halves. Basically what it does, it just halves the rate at which you gain concerns, and also halves the maximum concern a raid can get. The maximum is usually 99% support reduction, and basically he drops it to maximum 50, which is actually quite interesting. This can be good in most cases, but in most cases we don't want to let concerns grow to 100% unless it's some rural zone we don't care about, but we can always deal with that later. So basically, in my opinion, it doesn't really do that much, because in the early game, when I said like when it's most important to snowball and stabilize, it doesn't matter if the concerns grow at half the rate. You want to take care of them instantly in important zones, or that you want to stabilize. So in that sense, he doesn't really do much, but it's an interesting, little tidbit that can actually stabilize pretty well through concerns with him. Just an interesting fact. Civil engineer road initiatives cost less, and it costs $2. I believe it's 1 per road, so you actually benefit after getting 3 roads. On some maps you get 3 roads rather fast, very rare though, and it's only $1. Just go tax collector again. It's just more money, especially when you're low reputation, which is really important. It just gives you consistency. Here, chef. So one thing I will say about National Soldiers is I get them very late. It's my playstyle. There are several playstyles of people. Some like to go get it early. There's like one crazy player, Cloud, who basically rushes military every single game and goes crazy and just, he's insane. But he also has like 3,000 hours in the game. Obviously a much better player than me. He likes to do this, but he also mostly plays no advisors. Most people, I like to push it to the extreme a little, but most people get nationals rather late. Good players prefer roads over units, because roads are also a way of buffing units, and I'd rather spend my corruption and money on other things that help me stabilize early so I can snowball instead of getting national soldiers early. So let's go through them real quick, just so you know what my premise is. Train national soldiers without coalition soldiers. Never do this. They train slower. So basically, in the lore of this game, it's the coalition soldiers that come and they train the national soldiers. If you don't buy coalition soldiers, hence they aren't getting trained by coalition soldier troops, so they're getting trained by national agencies. In which case, I think it's a really high penalty. It's like 50% slower or something. It's insane. Don't do this. Bet. Drill sergeant, again, you get this rather late. National soldiers, at which point I guess it's nice to have, but not really relevant in most cases. Same with arms dealer, like national combat soldier combat strength is rarely an issue by the point you get them, which brings me to the chef. Great, we're buffing coalition soldiers, the units we actually use the most and are the most important early game. We get to keep them longer, basically just saves us reputation for redeployments. Great. Take this. This is useless, very rare cases where you, I mean useless, it's not useless, obviously it does its job, but the only time where this is relevant is in most cases in endgame. Again, we're playing for consistency. I won't pick an advisor that helps me in the endgame when I'm pushing into zones and the game's over and I just want to end it. I'd rather take the guy that actually helps me early, or the girl. Squadron leader, again, airstrikes will, like the airstrike AI is pretty good. Usually you can it drops where you want it to drop. Like actually almost always it drops where you want it to drop, so no need for this. War hero costs 4. Don't do it. Just don't do it. And I mean, like, look, I've seen this work a few times, but again, it's RNG. Sometimes you just have passive insurgents and you don't get more than a few months extra deployment out of this. You spend $4 on it at the beginning. Yikes, don't do it. Just take the chef, take the free advisor, take the free reputation. Like basically this guy's like a war hero can become much more potent than a chef. But in most cases, like if you compare the fact that this advisor is free and this one costs $4, you will get more value out of the chef than the war hero. And the last one, in my opinion, the only viable one, the logistics expert. Build garrisons quicker, don't care. I mean, garrisons you will get in some games because you need them for combat support. Basically, you can look at garrisons as stational national soldiers. Some games you do need a quick burst of combat strength, so you get them on a whim, but very rarely necessary. So again, consistency. This is, I guess, also okay. You can take this one. It's fine. Sensor, I'm not playing to lose. Although I will say that I do have an issue with the game, the way that reputation loss works for recaptures, but that's whatever. It's not what this video is about. But yeah, I wouldn't take this. Basically, it's like I'm not playing to lose here. This is playing to lose less. Tactician is useless. Don't take it. It increases the chance to like 3% or something ridiculously low. Basically, on Mega Root will just accept you will rarely ever kill fleeing insurgents unless they attack the zone with a garrison in it. Okay, so drone programmer, again, drones, we only get that late game. We're not playing for late game. We want to take something that's as useful as possible as soon as possible. Again, I mean, I don't even know how much you pay for this tool. Like, I guess you can do it, but it's whatever. It's just randomness again. Don't take random stuff. And defense minister, never take this because it significantly increases. Like, it increases the cooldown a lot. Like, it straight up doubles it or something ridiculous like that. Not really, like, I don't think it doubles it. Maybe it does. I don't remember, but I remember it's a lot. It's like really, really, really a lot. I would recommend not taking this. I would recommend, of course, my girl, the logistics expert. Basically, I think it reduces logistics cost by 1 for every stable zone that the soldiers travel through. So basically, you're on your main road infrastructure, you're on like 1 logistics everywhere. So basically everywhere you have highways and main roads, like even your national soldiers, when they're stable, when all the zones are stable, they're in that network. It would just cost one logistics to move them. Crazy good. And one thing that I think a lot of players that are struggling on Mega Brutal don't understand is that your unit speed is incredibly important. It's probably the most important stat. That's why I absolutely love roads. I will be making roads a lot. You will hear me praising roads all the time. They're really great. They're amazing. You should get them almost like basically every game. Not every game. They're really good. You should get them soon. You should get them fast. Oof, beautiful thing. Anyway, that's it for the first video. In the next video, I think actually I'll just already start with a civil servant and just use saffron fields to explain every single governor. And then we'll just go map through map, governor by governor. And yeah, I hope yeah, you can learn how to play the game properly, understand the game's mechanics, and actually have fun and not be frustrated, because the game does have a very steep learning curve. And I wouldn't be where I am now if the people who helped me didn't help me. So basically, big shout out to Transport, the Discord, Cloud, also lots of great tips, and all of you guys who I chat with almost daily. There's lots of things you can learn. There's also, you can, if you want to learn, just join the Discord. There are lots of very helpful players, lots of very good players. Exactly. So yeah, see you next video. Bye.